guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a very highly requested video, my money saving tips, tricks, and hacks. So I've done a few videos like this in the past, so if you guys are interested, you can always check those out. They're going to be on a playlist, and I'm sure that some of them will be linked at the end of this video as well. But I thought it'd be kind of difficult since I've already done 3 videos like this, but actually I just came up with so many things, and I'm sure I have so many more things that I didn't even think about. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, I like to take extra sauces home with me. So if I am out at a restaurant and they are using packaged sauces like ketchup or barbecue sauce, I will always take any extras that I have home with me. So that's super important, and anytime that I'm doing any takeaway, if there's any sauce left over, I always put it in the fridge. I always use it later. It's definitely something that I find just less wasteful. So yeah, the next thing I have is never pay for parking unless it's validated. So this is specifically for people who live in the city, and living in Tel Aviv-Yafo is definitely something that can become very pricey with parking, and it's something that I personally don't drive, but my boyfriend does, and we never ever pay for parking unless it's validated. So for instance, when our dog goes to the vet, there is a validation for the parking that is around the corner, so we always park in the parking lot. But other than that, if we're going to any restaurant in Tel Aviv, we will drive around for hours if it takes, not really hours, but for a long time, just to find parking that's free. So don't give up, it will come. Believe, the universe will deliver, okay? The next thing I have is using conditioner for shaving cream. So this might sound a little weird, but itch my nose, hear me out, okay? You're supposed to use conditioner only on your ends of your hair and shampoo on the roots, okay? So when you're using it on the ends of your hair, unless you have extremely long hair, you're probably using less conditioner than you are shampoo, okay? It usually doesn't even out. Now, when I was younger, I used to use conditioner all over my head, and I used to use a lot of it, way more than I did shampoo. But now that I got older and I learned how to wash my hair better, I realized that I only need it in the ends of my hair, and as a result, I have a lot more conditioner than shampoo. So I always use the conditioner on my legs as shaving cream or on my armpits, whatever, especially after I'm done putting the conditioner in my hair. There's almost always residue on your hands. So what I'll do is I will put it right onto my legs. I will never let that residue go to waste. It's just stupid, not worth it, wasteful, you pick your word. So that's something that I always love doing, and honestly, it is the best shaving cream that you can imagine. Like, it's so soft, and it really does condition your skin. There's something so soft about it, and just makes shaving so much better. So definitely recommend that. Another thing is shopping around for things like movers and repairmen or women. So shopping around for things like that, because they are mostly independent people who make their own prices, and they decide how much they're worth. And for instance, movers, specifically in Tel Aviv, the prices can range, usually not dramatically, usually within $30 to $40 of one another. But I shopped around recently for my move. I'm actually moving today, so this will be the last video in this apartment, but I am moving today, and I was shopping around for movers, and I was having such a hard time finding a reasonable priced mover. Everyone was quoting me about $300 to $400, and it just didn't make sense to me. I felt like that was way too much, and I shopped around, and I also did on Facebook. Any groups that you're in that usually ask those type of questions, just look up the keyword like movers or repairman or something like that, and you'll see old posts that people have commented on as well, so you don't even need to put your own post if you don't want. And I was just going through messaging so many movers, and I was getting some range between 1,300 shekels to about 16 to 1,700 shekels. And I was like, I can see everyone is in the same range, but I wanted something much cheaper. And I found someone who does moving with you, basically. So it's one mover, they come with a van, and they basically help you move. It's like asking a friend to help you move that also has a van. So it's not full service, so you're not sitting back and doing nothing, but you are able to get such a good deal. Like, this guy quoted us 550 shekels, which is a fraction of the price. And after we realized that we can move so many of the things on our own, my boyfriend started to take things from our house to from our current house to our new house. And he was using his lunch break to do so because we're moving to the city where he works. So it was super convenient. So he would take a load during his lunch, and then he would take another load during the evening. And that happened for the last 3 or 4 days. And right now he's at work. He didn't take a load this morning because he just had so many things going on, but we have the movers coming today. We have dramatically reduced what we need to move, and I think that we'll be able to do it in one go. He was quoting me on 2 trips because the van is quite small compared to a big moving truck. So he was quoting me on 2 trips, but from what I understand, we've moved so much stuff already that we're actually going to be able to just move it all in one trip, and it's probably going to be around 350 shekels, which is like $100, which is such a good deal for movers. So we still have to help him with the moving. We still have to help him with the boxes and things like that, but we already planned on doing that anyways to help minimize the time and the cost in general, but no one was giving us a fair deal when it came to that. So yes, we're going to help move. No, it's not full service, but it's definitely a great way to save a buck. So another thing that I would suggest in terms of moving, so we've been searching for apartments left and right, and specifically in Israel and Tel Aviv, and all around Israel, a lot of people use brokers, and brokers, they ask for 1 month's rent as payment for them finding you an apartment. And when I first moved here, I used a broker one time, and it was very worth it for me. I was working full time. I didn't have a lot of time to search for apartments. He found me an ideal apartment, and he did the negotiations with the contract and things like that. Now, there is one thing good to be said about brokers. They almost always are willing to negotiate the contract for you. It does not mean that the owner is willing to drop the price for you, but the broker is willing to do the negotiation for you. So that's a super big selling point in a broker, but the 200-300 shekels, it's like $100 or something every month that you'll get off. It still doesn't cover the cost of a broker, and if it does, you usually break even, so it's not really worth it. So I definitely wouldn't recommend using a broker unless you desperately need, because you don't have time. If you have the time or any energy to put into it, you will find somebody who is renting from the owner themselves, and it's just so much more worth it. So that's definitely something that has saved us a lot of money in this move. And another thing is to always negotiate the price of your rent. So owners are just people, and they're also always willing to negotiate a price, because a lot of times they'll set the price a little bit higher, which is another one of my tips. So they'll set the price a little bit higher, and then in order to negotiate that price, they know that people are going to want to go down on the price. So they set it a little bit high, so when they go down, it's usually around the price that they were willing to accept anyways. So you're feeling like you got a deal, they're feeling like they got a deal, everyone's winning. So that's also another big thing when negotiating. So negotiating in general, buying and selling products that are secondhand or anything like that, that aren't from a big corporation, you can always negotiate the price. The worst thing they can do is say no. But whenever you're negotiating or whenever you're selling, you always want to put the price a little bit higher than what you're willing to accept for it, because when people come to negotiate, they're going to drop the price a little bit. Usually people don't drop the price dramatically because they know it's unrealistic, but when they do drop the price, it's usually more around the price that you're willing to accept, and it's not so much lower than you were expecting. So it becomes a win-win for everyone. Like I said, you get a good deal, they feel like they got a good deal, everyone's happy. So always try to sell anything that you're trying to get rid of. Always try to sell it even if it's for a cheaper price. So you should be like, if it's something like an old mattress, for instance, I have an older mattress that I'm willing to sell for a very cheap price, like maybe $30, but I also put in the description that the price is flexible. So I'm willing to sell it ultimately for any amount of money. Okay, I just need to get rid of this mattress, and I'd prefer to get $10 rather than just put it on the street. But I also understand that, you know, if nobody buys it, I'm still going to get rid of the mattress. It's fine. I'm going to donate it to somebody who needs it, which is also a very, very good thing to do. But in terms of saving money, it's always best to try to sell at least for a small amount of money, even if it's only $5. So when ordering out, I almost always do a pickup instead of a delivery because of the fees of delivery. So instead of having to worry about tipping your delivery driver, which is very common in the States, in Israel it's less common. They're actually paid a decent wage and you don't feel, you know, the need to tip them. But to avoid tipping and to avoid any delivery fees, you can just pick up the food. You can call, order it on the phone, pick it up, super simple. It's just a good way to avoid fees. Oh, another thing that I actually didn't write down, but just reminded me when ordering food, if you're ordering something like, let's say pizza, and you want mushroom topping, and you have mushrooms at home, but you don't want to pay extra for the mushrooms, all you need to do is just put it on when it gets home. If you have patience and you're willing to wait a little bit for it to, you know, to cook up the mushrooms and just throw them on, or to put it back in the oven a little to heat it up with the mushrooms, or tomatoes or hot peppers or whatever toppings you like, I think it just makes sense because you can actually control the amount of toppings. You don't have to pay the ridiculous fee that people put on pizza toppings. I don't understand why it's like an arm and a leg just to get a full topping on a pizza. That's for another story. But that's also something that I really like to do. So I will love to get just a plain pizza and put my own toppings on it. Simple, cheap, easy. What else do I have? I'm looking right here on my computer at my list. So when shopping around for hair, nails, waxing, and any other beauty service, because those definitely range. And yes, of course, you want something quality, especially when it comes to your hair or your face, because you want to make sure that, you know, you're not going to somebody who's going to botch you or anything like that. But specifically in terms of nails or you know, eyebrows or waxings or things like that, it's just, you know, it just makes sense to try other people, to try new things. That's what I've been doing recently with my nails. Currently my nails look absolutely horrible. What are we looking at here? Can you see? Anyways, they look really horrible. They're grown out, but I went to a new girl and she was nice, but I didn't love the way that she did my nails. She did a good job, but I didn't love it. And it was a little bit overpriced and I felt like it wasn't worth it. So I'm just going to go to somebody else next time and see if I like them better. And worst case scenario, you deal with nails that you don't love for a month, but that's to be expected anywhere. You can also deal with that when you go to your favorite place and they just don't do a good job one time. So definitely something to think about. What else? Oh, this is actually a really good one. So I love buying organic fruit and vegetables. I think it's very, very important, specifically vegetables, because you eat almost the whole thing. You never usually take the skin off of them. Always greens, I buy organic. Fresh herbs, I like to buy organic. But when it comes to things like watermelon, cantaloupe, melon, mango, bananas, pineapple, I am very happy to buy it conventionally grown. So if it is GMO or sprayed or just not organic in general, I'm okay with that, because you're taking the skin off of the fruit. You're not eating the skin from that fruit. So it's a great way to save money, because those fruits, specifically in Israel at least, are very high cost. So things like bananas, I will never, ever, ever buy organic. Again, things like papayas and mangoes and watermelon and anything that has a harder skin, I just won't buy organic. I don't see the point in it. But to the opposite, I will always buy organic greens, and I will use that money to kind of balance out for the organic and not organic. I also think it's very, very important, even if you have just a little bit of space outside, to grow your own fresh herbs and maybe even some lettuce, some spinach, some kale, things like that, to grow fresh, organic. It's always on hand. It's so easy. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of water. It doesn't take a lot of effort. And honestly, it's just so simple. And why would you pay for, a huge bag of herbs that most likely are going to go bad before you can finish them all? Because who needs a whole head of parsley? You buy it usually for one recipe, you use it for the one recipe, and then the rest of it sits in your fridge for so long, and it's just not worth it. So that's definitely something that I would highly recommend. At least get a small pot. Herbs don't take a lot of room to grow. Definitely, definitely recommend that. What else? Oh, this is actually something that, okay, so we have plants everywhere in our house. This is the first plant that we ever got. This one and the other pothos that is right in front of me. And it's quite long now, but what we do now is we propagate. So we will take the pieces and we will cut it into pieces and we'll propagate it. So roots will grow out of it, and then we'll be able to have more plants without buying more plants. And another thing that we really like to do is propagate any plants that we see on the street or in public places. We are not shy to go up and take a cutting. The thing about propagating plants is when you cut it at the right spot, the plant is just going to grow again. It's not like you're killing the plant. It's not like you're ripping it out of the ground. You're literally just cutting it. It's growing again. You're not doing any trauma to the plant. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, everyone wins. The plant is still growing. You get a free plant. We've actually done that many times already. So after we realized that you can propagate, we've already bought in a lot of plants at that point, but we found so many public places with just beautiful, beautiful plants that you can propagate, and it just makes so much more sense financially. It does take a little bit more effort, okay? It does take a little bit more effort, but it's worth it, okay? It's definitely worth it, in my opinion. So definitely look into how to propagate, because you don't want to cut something, not know what you're doing, and then kill it. So look into how to propagate. It's definitely something you need to do research on your own. Another thing is picking fruit from public places. So there are a lot of public fruit trees in Israel. Like, you will see them all over the country, and you'll have lemons and you'll have different fruits. And my favorite right now is mulberries. There's a tree down the street from me, and there's a tree on the other side of the bridge from me as well, but it's not as plentiful. But down the street, whenever I take Diego for a walk in the morning, if we go past that tree, I will take one of an extra bag that we have, and I will just start filling it with all of the fruits that the tree has, all of the mulberries, because they're just falling all over the ground, and it kills me every time I see them. I'm like, oh, there's so many smushed on the ground, but I want to eat them. So I just pick them, because a lot of times people have these trees for so long that they don't even realize that they're still producing fruit. They're not even paying attention to them. They're not harvesting anything from them. It's honestly just because they've been there for so long. So I definitely say take advantage of any fresh fruit or vegetables that you have around. And that's everything. I think the last thing that I put on my list is buy spices in bulk, which is so obvious, but it's just so much better. Like, just buy spices in bulk. Don't buy those little containers of spices or like one package. Buy like ounces or a kilo or something like that. Put it in your fridge so it will last, because spices last for years. Put it in your fridge or your freezer, also a great place to be. And yeah, you'll have spices for a really long time. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about a little bit of noise here or there from somebody contacting me, but I'm not gonna edit it out because I am not in editing mode right now. I'm just going to post this. So thank you for following along with all of my mistakes and all of the things that probably should have been edited out. And yeah, this is my last video in this apartment, and I hope you guys enjoyed this apartment. I enjoyed it much less than probably you guys did seeing it, but that's for another video. So yeah, thank you guys again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.